shooting down in the woods. He wouldn't leave it even if he could. 'Cause life is good, yeah!
Hey, Hickok45, your internet shooting companion, coming to you from Tennessee, Middle Tennessee, beautiful state, home of Alvin York, yes, and many other patriots. Patriots who risked their lives, along with many around the nation, to secure our rights and preserve our rights. And we're finding that we have to continue that today, don't we? As I speak, as we speak, as you listen. It's a never-ending battle maintaining freedom, and while hopefully you and I will not be involved in dangerous, life-risking endeavors, as many of our ancestors have, and fathers and grandfathers, the fight goes on. The fight continues to preserve our rights, and trying to do what we can in our small way, and I know you are too, because the evidence is showing out there the other side of this issue is at least getting the message that we are not going to be rolled over. We are not going to be just bulldozed. And facts have been presented over and over. And anybody who is clued into the social networks, the new media, just cannot ignore the facts. I mean, they can, but they see them. They know. When you have FBI stats that are repeatedly put out there in everybody's face about how more people are killed with hands and fists, feet and fists, whatever, than with rifles of any kind. Just that sort of the factual information. You just, how do you continue with some of the fictional diatribes and proposals? Making it sound as though everybody out there is dying by AR-15s. Because of the high-capacity magazines, people are just getting mowed down in the streets, and that's, of course, the image that the other side likes to portray. The gun banners want to portray, of course, because it fits their agenda, fits their narrative, and it's up to us to continue the battle. So anyway, I'm sorry, I didn't mean to start off on such a serious note, I guess, but I just couldn't help it when I was thinking of Alvin York there, as I normally do when I lead off the radio show. It just came to mind, just popped to mind. You think about people like that and millions of others that have served and are serving now, and willingly risking their lives for us and for the freedom. You just it just makes you sick when you see what's going on in the news, doesn't it? It really does. And we'll talk some more about that. Coming to you from the Reloading Room, of course. It's a rather chilly winter's day, and a little bit of snow on the ground. Not much, just kind of a messy snow, unfortunately. John and I were hoping for a really good snow. We'd get out and do a video in some deep snow for a change. Looks as though that's not going to happen again this winter. I guess that was 2 winters ago that we had 1 or 2 just beautiful snows. I know we got out with the Marlin guide gun, I think, and I believe that was the winter I bought the Mossberg 590 A1, because I remember going out in the pretty snow and shooting that like the day or 2 after I bought it. I think there was a heavy snow. And that's fun, just getting out in the snow, different environment, what the heck. The compound here changes, of course, with the seasons, and it's always interesting to be out the winter and then the spring and the summer when all the foliage is out, and a heavy snow, adds another dimension to it. It's kind of fun. It's nice to live on one place for a period of years, if you're like most of us, we end up, moving around, as did I for a while, but I've been here for 26, 27 years on this one patch of ground. And, you get a different perspective. It's a perspective you don't normally get. I don't know, just visiting your local park or visiting a friend's farm or just whatever, because I walk these hills, weekly, and I see the changes, not only from season to season, but from year to year. And it's just an experience that everybody doesn't get, or that I had not gotten until these last 26, 27 years. And observing exactly how much a certain type of tree does grow, say over a 10-year period, 20-year period, 27-year period. There are trees on this place that I planted, trees that I started, quote unquote, that I basically just let grow, bush hogged around when I was mowing. I think I've shared with you before that much of the land, except for the actual wooded area, was mowed. Someone had cut hay on it before I bought it. There were maybe 10, 15 acres that had hay on it, and I continued to mow it. I just bush hogged it since I didn't really grow hay for anything. I let a guy cut hay on it a time or two, if he wanted. And it was an open invitation anytime he wanted to come and cut the hay. And then he kind of got away from doing it, and weeds grew up in it, and so I just went ahead and bush hogged it, which is just a big mower. For those of you who don't know what a bush hog is, it's a powerful mower, one that will chop up little trees and brush and that kind of thing. But I got to asking myself after a couple, 3 years, why am I doing this? Why am I mowing these fields when I much prefer woods? I'm not raising cattle or anything. And so I began to just mow some trails or paths through that part of the place, just as I had down in through the woods. And I just gradually let the weeds grow. And of course, brush turned into bigger brush. Little trees came up, turned into bigger trees. And now a lot of that area is essentially woods. And depending on the type of tree, the poplar trees, tulip poplars, if you don't know, it's the Tennessee state tree, by the way, they grow pretty fast. Poplars are really neat trees. It's nice wood, and they're gorgeous trees, and they just grow. And I mean, they're not like like a willow or something, or bamboo, but I mean, they do grow fairly fast, faster than an oak or a maple, or a hickory, your hardwoods. So there are a number of poplar trees that I noticed were coming up because we already had a bunch of poplars around, and so I just bush hogged around them, and I mean, they were just little twigs. And now, oh man, there are several of them that are probably, I don't know, 60, 70 feet high. I can't reach around them. I mean, they're huge trees, which puts things in perspective. Excuse me. I'm a little under the weather, have been for a couple of weeks off and on, so you might be able to tell my voice might sound a little strange. I might sound like an imposter. Ooh. You might be thinking, that's not Hickok. He sounds smarter than he normally does. Well, no, that wouldn't happen, would it? Because it is still my brain. But my voice is different, maybe. At least it feels different. I'm kind of clogged up and not used to being ill. I haven't had even a minor cold for 2.5 years. And I've been saying I'm due one. I'm gonna be a baby when I get one, because I've been without it for so long, and I don't like being sick. So I'm gonna be a bad patient. But anyway, finally hit me here before the winter was over, and so I'm dealing with that. I had it for just a few days, and then we had a rally I went out, stood out all day, or felt like all day, at that rally, several hours, and spoke and everything. I thought I was feeling a lot better, but I don't know. I think that kind of set me back. That's okay. It's for a good cause. And it was a great rally over in Mount Juliet. But anyway, I'm back at it and yakking at you here on a Sunday afternoon. But as I was saying, the place has grown up a lot. I've added hundreds and I guess thousands of trees to the place over the years, and it's just been interesting to watch how it's changed. Trees that you watch die for whatever reason. You just notice, well, the tree's didn't come out this year, and obviously he's dead. And then several years later, you notice it's rotting a little bit, bark's peeled off. Maybe 10 years later, it's looking like it might fall over, but maybe it's 15, 20 years before it actually falls, and then it hits the ground, and you notice it's 4, 5, 6, 7 more years before it really starts to deteriorate much. But anyway, you get a sense of timing on that sort of thing, more so than if you just go to a park and walk through the woods and you step over a dead log, you see a tree that's dead, you see any trees. A lot of people don't have a very clear concept maybe of how old a particular tree is, given the size of it, or one that's lying on the ground, how long it's been dead, based on the condition of it and how soft it is and whether the bark is rotted off, and that's just that sort of thing. So I know maybe not very interesting to many of you, but it does give you a sense of perspective on the evolution of nature and just the change of seasons when you are in the same location, looking and seeing the same vegetation, month after month and year after year. So it's kind of interesting. But anyway, on the compound, it's still pretty bleak, and we're in the throes of winter, but we are coming up into the very first part of March. So in Tennessee, that means we could have any kind of weather. For example, we had some snow yesterday, and it was a high of 30-something yesterday. But I noticed by the end of this week, Friday, it's going to be up to 60 for a high. And I think on Saturday as well. And it looks clear, according to the forecast. So hopefully John and I can do some video work next weekend. Get a little bit done. Looking forward to that. Maybe get on the Harleys. No, that would be fun too. So what am I going to talk about here with my feeble voice today? A couple of things I might yak about a little bit, as long as I keep my voice going. By the way, speaking of rallies, I just found out there's going to be a Second Amendment rally. Some folks are going to put together, pretty sure, in Clarksville, Tennessee. And that is scheduled right now, as I speak, for March 29th. Just to let you know, if you live in the area, anywhere near Clarksville, there'll be, give you more information out about that, and we'll probably mention it in a vlog or something. There's still several weeks, of course, coming up for that, and so anyway, I've got word on that. Apparently, it's going to be organized. It's so don't know a lot about it, but just be aware of it. Keep an eye out. Maybe the gun shops in Clarksville, in that area, if you live around there, and I'll keep you abreast by putting something in the feed on our channel at least, and we'll probably do a vlog before then and give you more information about it if we find out more about that. Yeah, I'm planning to go, so I'll let you know about that while I'm yakking before I forget it. And lots going on in terms of Second Amendment, isn't there? You could almost spend the entire day just keeping up with the activity, and a lot of you are probably spending a lot of time. If you're into the new media and YouTube, and you're listening to this and you're watching videos, I'm sure you're watching a lot of the things that are going on. The beauty of YouTube is, and I think it was a while before I realized this, that basically anything that goes on out there video-wise ends up on YouTube, and that is just wonderful. You hear about an interview, or hey, did you hear on CNN or on Fox News somebody was interviewed and this, that. Well, you really don't miss it, do you? Because it's there. It's at the news station's website, or it's just on YouTube. Somebody's put it on YouTube, outside the website, and you can go see it, and you can really keep up with the arguments. And there's really no excuse for not being pretty aware of what's going on, and just understanding the issues pretty well. There really is not. And it's just a wonderful place to be, really, with all this information. You have to watch out for the information overload, but there's just a lot of good folks out there helping keep us aware of things, and it's a great place to be, really. And you hope that a lot of people kind of in the middle ground are seeing a lot of what's going on that is done so well, in the YouTube arena. It's just, you just hope they are seeing it, and it's getting spread and getting shared, because there are so many folks that are just doing some great stuff. And I think it is through word of mouth, through Facebook. People are seeing the issues. And one thing, and I hate to use the phrase again, but the average soccer mom, I'll use that phrase. When I say that, I'm really referring to those people that are just not very savvy in terms of what's going on with Second Amendment. Don't really care necessarily, not necessarily anti-gun or pro-gun, maybe not even very politically active. Folks like that just are kind of getting through life and not really thinking about those issues that much. Didn't grow up with firearms and maybe don't have a dog in that fight. Maybe they've got kids. They just assume their kids be safe, so maybe guns scare them a little bit. They're not sure. People that just not sportsmen necessarily, and outdoorsmen. Those are the people that we want to capture as much as possible. Get them the information. Folks on the fence, obviously, folks who are anti-gun, just rabid gun banners, it's hard to have an impact on them, even if they see the nonsense of what they're trying. For whatever reason, whatever their motivation, the facts just don't fit with their agenda, don't fit with the narrative they like. And there's this line in the song by Paul Simon: "The man hears what he wants to hear and disregards the rest." From the boxer. It's just the way it is. People are going to see and hear what they want to see, what they want to hear. They're going to believe what they want to believe, what feels good to believe, and we're all susceptible of that. We're all, possibly guilty of that, right, to some extent. So it's tough to fight. But those people on the fence, or who are not really sure what they think, they just maybe don't have a lot of information one way or the other. Hopefully we're capturing a segment of those people. But anyway, continue to fight the good fight, and keep those letters going and those emails. That's so important that we don't let up. We can never really let up on that again. We really cannot, as I've said before. The battle's on, and I know most of you probably feel the same way I do. We're not just content with not losing our rights, or losing a minimal amount of our rights. No, we don't want to lose any of it. In fact, we want to smack those folks in the mouth, figuratively, with their crazy proposals. We want to just slap them down, figuratively now. We're not getting violent here, but we really want to just smack them down. We want to smack their proposals down and send them back to their hole. Literally, we want to send them back. Just forget it. You're not getting anywhere with modifying the Second Amendment. You can't do it. I know, it's not pretty sometimes having freedom. I tried to talk about this in my little rally speech last time. And, freedom is just not pretty always. I mentioned there, the KKK could be marching. They could have been marching in that same park. They could have had a permit to march. The racist Ku Klux Klan, I guess, and I guess there's still some around, could have probably gotten a permit and been over there in their white sheets marching. And obviously, to any thinking human being, that's like one of the most obnoxious sights and atrocious to think about. But, freedom isn't always pretty. And, you'd rather have them out there marching, I think, than maybe in the shadows. But people just have rights. And, it doesn't matter whether those rights conflict with my views or my preferences. There are simple rights in the Bill of Rights that we have. It's just like the First Amendment. There's a lot of nasty stuff out there as a result of the First Amendment. And how do you limit the First Amendment? Very, very difficult, right? It's like, being a little bit pregnant. You either have freedom or you don't. And it's just not easy to bear some of it, no doubt. But you look right down through the Bill of Rights, and these are things that are not susceptible to the majority rules to protect us from the majority, from people just voting us out. Whether it's racial issues, it's just anything. People have rights, and the founding fathers were pretty smart. They knew it was messy. They knew, freedom is a messy thing. It's never that tidy, but it really beats the alternative in every single way. So you just have to accept the fact there's going to be things going on, maybe in your face, maybe in my face, that I don't really like that much, but that's okay. It's part of freedom. I can live with it. So, I don't know. Starting to ramble, aren't I? Well, I could blame it on cold medicine, but I don't really have much cold medicine in me. What else was I going to talk about here? No, I don't know if you all caught that. I was on Lock and Load radio the other night with Bill Frady. Don't know if you're even aware of it. I was kind of aware of that show. I just had not listened to it and was contacted by them. And Bill Frady's a great guy. He's out of South Carolina and has a radio show on I think it's every night from about, 5 to 7 or 6 to 8, depending on the time zone. I don't. But it's Lock and Load Radio, and he does a good job. I didn't realize there was a gun-related radio show on every day, and that's pretty cool. So I went on there. I think he had several YouTubers on that week, and I put a post on my feed about it, just in a link, just in case anybody was interested. No great revelations. I just talked about the channel and stuff. He just wanted to know. We didn't get into a lot of politics. He wanted to just talk to me about shooting mainly, and because he wanted to start out the week with a YouTuber that was a genius, and just kidding. He wanted to start out with a YouTuber that just enjoyed shooting primarily, and he wanted to talk about all that, and said, we don't need to get into politics. We don't want to, and all that. And I said, that's fine either way. And so we mainly just talked about the shooting and how I got into all that and just all that sort of thing. So it was kind of fun. He's a good guy. So I'm glad to find out about him. And I've been a talk radio junkie for a long time. I don't know about you all. I just really have. Since, 1980 or something. I don't know what it was about it. There were locally here in the Nashville area, there were it was like a 1 hour talk radio show on one of the stations, I remember, and I would catch that a little bit, and it just struck me as interesting. I learned about local politics, people calling in, and I just picked up a lot of information when I would listen to that. And I mean, I'm a music fan. I love classic rock music and country music and different things, but I just liked it. And then when talk radio came around about that same time, full time, I started enjoying that. And I'd turn it on when I'm outside painting or whatever I was doing. And so I've just been a talk radio junkie for a long, long time. And so I'm glad to find out about some of the radio shows and some of the podcasts that go on I was not really aware of. And partly because it's so busy, but I'm in the car a fair amount too, though, and got my smartphone now. Now I got away from a dumb phone a year or two ago. So I catch, like Tom Gresham, of course, and the podcast, the Talking Lead podcast. They do one every week. And now I catch the Lock and Load, pretty often. And I don't know, it's just nice. Hear people talking about firearms. For one thing, well, you learn about firearms from somebody. You may listen to the whole podcast and not learn anything, if you shoot a lot already. But then again, you might learn a lot on a particular podcast, or someone might call in, you might learn something you couldn't believe that you would learn. It's just kind of random, you know how that is. And helps you keep up with the political side of things too. So anyway, I'm glad to find some good gun talk, some more good gun talk. The more the better. I mean, these guys have a real radio show, And it was funny, Bill Frady was, one of the things he wanted to talk with me about, I just remembered, was my radio show that I just started up. I think is the way he phrased it. He saw, and I had to confess that, well, really, Bill, this is not a real radio show. This is just it's me talking into the little recorder here occasionally and yakking with my viewers. So, but anyway, that I don't do real interviews and that kind of thing. I just it's just a way to stay in touch with the viewers, and where I'm not doing a firearms review and talking about the gun and focused on that. So, and for viewers to get to know me a little bit better and realize how dumb I really am after listening to me yak into this thing. So anyway, that was kind of fun. Mention that the link's probably still there if you hadn't seen it or heard it. Not that there was anything that profound while I was on there, but you might want to check him out. He's pretty good and really laid back guy. What else do I? Oh yeah, I had a little interesting experience with the Long Island Firearms Forum this past week. I wish I had more time to get around to all the great gun forums, shooting forums, like I used to. In my pre-YouTube days, that's what I did on the internet that was gun-related. I prowled around the gun forums, Glock Talk especially, and the Firearms Forum, or is that it? The Firing Line, yeah, the Firing Line, I can't think of the other one. It's a good one. I forgot the name of it. And there's like the Smith & Wesson Forum, the Ruger Forum. So I'm a member of almost all of those. And actually, I'm a member of probably about 30 different forums. Over the last 2 or 3 years, I'll get an invite to join one I wasn't even familiar with, and I'll go look it up, join it, and maybe post a couple times. But I have a hard time getting back, I'll have to say. But it's funny, I'll go to one I'd forgotten about, and I won't necessarily even remember if I'm a member, but then sure as the world I will be. As I try to log in, I'm a member here. Yeah, I forgot about that. But I used to get a lot of information from the forums, and it would share some too. Great place. It was a great place to get in. I mean, in pre-YouTube days, that's where you got the information about firearms. Largely, of the same nature, from fellow users, fellow shooters. Yeah, they would post pictures, at least, if not videos. They would have photos of something, maybe how to do something, how to break down a gun or whatever. And of course, YouTube has maybe rendered a lot of that obsolete. Now we use videos for a lot of that. So, but anyway, I was invited to drop by the Long Island Firearms Forum this week, and didn't really have time to, but let me go check it out real quick, and I did, and I signed up, and then I went to the welcome page and just said hi. The guy that wrote me said there were a lot of people there that watch our videos and everything, and so I just said hi. Hickok45 says hi or something, and thanks for watching everything. And there was a lot of good folks came by and said hi. It was great that watched the videos and everything, and it was funny. There were a couple of people that commented that well, if you're the real Hickok45, you know, we'll let you know I enjoy your videos or something like that. There were a couple of people that mentioned that, and it occurred to me, yeah, that's right. I could be an imposter. There are those out there. There are people, and I think I wrote back to one of those guys to, appreciated the skepticism, because it very likely could be an imposter, and that's something that concerns me a little bit. But as I think I went on to say, just know, and you all know, you will never see a posting from me that's not going to sound like me, put it that way. Now, I mean, somebody could maybe try to sound like me, but generally speaking, if somebody's going to use my name somewhere, it's probably a troll, somebody that's mad because I blocked them, and they've been obnoxious on the channel already, so they're probably going to just try to say something that would make me look bad, right? I mean, that would be the primary reason, I would think, unless they just want to pretend they're me. So just be aware of that. So I would obviously, especially, I'd be pretty stupid to ever post anywhere something that makes me look bad, right? Duh. Cut my own throat. Yeah, like, just say something really stupid, something insulting to somebody, insulting to somebody else, a third party. So by and large, if that would ever happen, it'd be pretty obvious it's not me. I'm not too bright, but I'm smart enough not to ruin the Hickok45 brand. I'm at least that smart. So posting somewhere. But anyway, I thought it was interesting, and I thought, well, no, these guys are good guys. Let me somehow, how can I prove to them that I am? Not that it's going to keep me awake at night, but these guys, they want to know. They want it to be me to have a conversation with here. But they did mention that that. So I'll tell you what. I wrote one of them privately. I said, I'll tell you what. I'll go over to my channel and I'll put a little message in the comments, just so you'll know it's me, because it's a legitimate question. And I did, and so we're not okay. And I think the guy who invited me, or somebody did, they upgraded my registration there to something that demonstrated I was the real Hickok45. Wow. Okay. Anyway, that was fun. That was interesting, and some good fellows on there. And one reason I wanted to go sign up and kind of keep up with them too is that New York is going through the battle of their lives up there, and plus it's another area of the country. It's interesting to keep up with what's going on, how people are thinking, and in a completely different area of the country, or on the planet, of course. So it's pretty interesting. Just good folks, and it'd be fun to travel into some different areas like that, and talk to people about firearms, and folks that watch the videos. It's just be interesting. So anyway, I'll pop in there every now and then and check out people. But one reason I wanted to bring that up is, again, please help me be on the lookout if you ever see anything that looks like someone's trying to make me look bad by being an imposter or something like that. I'm sure I'm fully capable of making myself look stupid, but I'm not going to make myself look bad, generally speaking. So anyway, what else is going on here? One thing you might not be aware of, which you're probably not, but I guess I can go ahead and let you know that this is going to be my last year teaching, at least teaching troublesome teenagers. I hope to still, well actually, I'll still be teaching people about firearms. Hopefully not too many of you out there are troublesome teenagers. I'm sure if you're teenagers, you're not troublesome, right? Well, mine aren't either. My little students are not troublesome, actually. But going to give it up, finally. I knew last year I'd probably need to give it up this year. Told the powers that be that after this year I would probably have to hang it up. Just couldn't do both really successfully. The YouTube is extremely demanding, so many different ways now, and just need to focus on one thing and devote full time to it. And I know a lot of people. It's funny because I've had the different reactions. Someone just recently said, "Wow, are you excited? Are you looking forward to it? Are you excited about retiring, quote unquote?" I'm really not retiring. I'm just going to devote full time to one endeavor, but instead of 2 full-time jobs, right? But I'm not. I mean, that's the thing. I guess it's hard for people to understand. Of course, I've been in pretty good teaching situations. The couple of teaching situations I've been in were good, and I've done other things besides teaching, but the teaching I've done is not maybe typical, not the situation that you might envision as a nightmare. Good kids by and large, and a pretty good situation, and where I actually could teach, and just I've had a blast doing it. I've been very, very fortunate in both of my teaching situations. Very fortunate that I've been able to actually teach and enjoy the kids and stay in the classroom, not be lured or not allow myself to be lured into administration. So I've been very, very fortunate that I have been able to stay in the classroom teaching. And again, if you've not taught before, some of you are probably thinking, this old guy must really be crazy. He's way off the deep end. Especially teaching middle school or high school, because you may have had some bad experiences with kids, with teenagers and all that. But, when you're actually there, if you've never taught, if you're actually there and, they're your students, it's just so different. It's almost the difference between your own kids and someone else's kids. You know how that is? Yeah, kids can be annoying, except your own kids are perfect, and you love your own kids to death. It's those other kids that are annoying and that kind of thing. Well, a lot of that is similar to teaching. Once you get to know your kids, your students, you're with them every day, day in and day out, interacting, every class. You just get to know them. You get to feel they're almost yours. You really do. Think back to your own classroom experience with your own teachers, and you have to admit there's a kind of a bonding that goes on there throughout the year with your teachers. You probably have lots of teachers you remember quite fondly, and that you miss. Maybe some you don't miss, but there's just something special about that bonding that takes place in a lot of cases. You just really get to know each other because you're just yakking at each other all day long. You're there, and so it's actually more positive than a lot of people think it is. You just walk through a school with a bunch of seemingly unruly kids. You think, wow, what a zoo. I couldn't stand this. But when you know the kids, it's just different. It really is. And teaching is just a lot of fun. It really is. There's just nothing quite like it. And I really feel sorry for the people that have left it for whatever reason, because of not enough money, or left for maybe administration because, I don't know, people do that for lots of different reasons. Maybe they can't handle the kids, or they want to make more money, or just whatever. But I've been really fortunate to stay right in the classroom my entire teaching career, and that was one of my objectives. I did a little foray into management when I was outside of teaching, and was fortunate enough to learn early on, and when I was around 30, early 30s, that you can very quickly get yourself into a situation where you're kind of removed from what you actually enjoyed doing. You have 10 times the headache, a little more money, but a lot more grief. You're in a much more volatile situation, middle management, different things like that. And so I came back into education, I thought, none of this again. I am going to stay in the classroom. That's why I wanted to come back to teaching. I missed it. And I will not be lured into administration at all. And so anyway, I'm one of those weirdos. I just actually enjoyed picking on kids every day, and still do. And I'll miss it. There's no doubt about it. So it actually can be a lot of fun. Now, the teaching profession's changing. If there's anybody out there, they're looking into the possibility of becoming a teacher. It's changed a lot. I would investigate it very thoroughly if I were you. I just would. It would depend on your situation. It would depend. If I had to do over today, in today's world, even with all the glowing things I just said about it, I'm not sure I could do it now in today's world. Not because of the kids, not that. It's just the orientation and social engineering, micromanagement style that so many people have now. Yeah, it's just different. I would look into it very, very, very carefully. Talk to a lot of people that actually teach, where they teach, and decide whether or not you could work in that environment. That's a lot of it. So kids are great. Teaching material you enjoy, whether it's math, science, literature, whatever it might be, that's all great. But there are a lot of professional educators that are not inside the classroom deciding how you're going to do things, and you need to investigate that thoroughly, okay, before you move into that profession, because it might not be exactly what you suspected, or what at least it was for me most of my career. So, but anyway, I'm going to miss it. Kids are so much fun. I don't know what I'm going to do to pick on kids, where I'm going to get a group of kids to pick on now. It's going to be tough. I've told my students that, they'll probably see in the news that I've been arrested because I was at a mall somewhere just randomly insulting teenagers or something, just because I don't have a captive audience of teenagers to insult now. I'm going to have to go find some to insult, and to use lame humor on, to pick on. It's just going to be a big void there, so I don't know. Maybe I can get some viewers. Maybe some of y'all who have teenage sons and daughters that are viewers, I can pay you to bring your unruly teenagers by, once a year, and then I'll just make fun of them, laugh at them or something. Okay? Make them laugh at lame humor. How's that? So anyway, so hope to have a little more time, of course. It's going to help. I don't know if we're going to do more videos, but we will have less of a restriction in terms of, you know, having to do it on weekends and that kind of thing. We can pick out the best day or two a week, you know, to do the video work. So I'm looking forward to that. Looking forward to having those fall days. My favorite time of the year is the fall in Tennessee. It's beautiful. You know, those days in September and October, November even, when it's, you know, high of 65 or 70, clear blue sky. You know, those are the days I want to be outside shooting, doing a video, you know. I always said, I hope I live long enough to where I actually get out of the classroom and can enjoy a year or two at least of the beautiful fall weather with nowhere to go except the farm. Yeah, really. I just love the fall. To have 5, 10, 20, 30 days in a row of that unencumbered is very attractive. Very attractive to me. So, anyway, thought I'd clue you in on that. It's not a big secret, and I know I'm too young to retire from teaching. I'm only 39, but I'm going to do it anyway. One thing I had a note here I might talk about a little bit is the you've been seeing some scopes lately in the videos, I guess. I mean, not a constant barrage of them or anything, but just to ease your mind, I am not losing my eyesight or anything, knock on wood. But I guess it started with maybe the Ruger American rifle, where I've had a lot of requests, you know, to review that and to show one, and then it hit me that, well, that thing needs a scope on it, really. It doesn't even come with sights, and if I'm going to get one of those, that's basically a hunting rifle. And probably 95% of the people that buy one of those put a scope on it. So I remember when the rifle came in down at ASP in Jolton, I thought, man, I need to buy a scope and put on this thing. I can't really do anything with it. And that's what most people would rather see probably on it. And if I'm going to show this rifle. And so I just bought one while I was there and put on the thing. So that was fun to play with a little bit. And then, of course, when Eric from NC Silencer was by, he had a Remington 700. You've seen that video posted recently. That was just a rig that he had with him, that had a silence, or a suppressor and everything. So anyway, shooting a scope there, playing with that, and didn't want to not. He's a cool gun. Never had a Remington 700 in the video, and so anyway, scope popping up here and there. And then recently, I bought an ACOG. You saw it in the last vlog on the Scar. So, all that's just kind of random, actually. Don't know. So, the one that I actually have been thinking about, that was planned to some extent, or in the back of my mind, in terms of a scope, was the ACOG, basically. That's it. I've looked at those things off and on over the years. I remember seeing articles on them back when you could buy a car for what you paid for them and everything. And I always was intrigued by the fact that you didn't need any batteries for them, that there were tritium in there and all that. And it was pretty cool. And then, of course, you see the military using them and have been using them for a long time. They're built like a tank and all that. And I guess it's just crossed my mind that, if those things weren't so expensive, it might be kind of fun to put one on an AR sometime just to see how I liked it or play with it or something. And I don't know. I guess they've come down a little bit in price. They're still pricey, expensive. And I've seen them in gun shows lately and just kind of looked through them, and it's pretty interesting. I think mainly because it's an iconic piece of equipment, I guess. Like the AR. You get right down to it. it just is. And so I just took the plunge, I don't know, one day at a gun show, and I think I'll just get one of those and put on a rifle. And that's what I did. And so I don't know, something I'll play with. I'm going to leave it on the SCAR probably for a while. And, and I think, as I said in, where was it? I don't know. Maybe it's the video we've not posted yet. Or in a discussion, I don't know. I talk so much, I don't know where I say all these things. But I have always been reluctant on putting glass on things, because I do like metal sights and shoot as well as I want to or need to with iron sights when it comes right down to it. And back when I was competing in IPSC, that's the time where in 1990, 89, 90, 91, people were putting red dot scopes on their handguns in open class. And even though I competed in open class some, that's unlimited class, I never did do that. I just didn't want to do it because I didn't want to be switching back and forth. I've always been a little more practical minded, and practically minded, shooting from a practical standpoint, defensive standpoint. And I knew I wasn't going to be carrying a defensive pistol with glass on it. So I don't know. I didn't want to be spending too much time practicing or in matches looking for a red dot or a scope if that's not what was going to be on my hip. Maybe I was overreacting, but I just never did make that plunge. And so I just stuck with the iron sights when I was competing in open class back then. And so I don't know. And I just have not really needed anything like a scope necessarily for the kinds of shooting I do. So now there are firearms, obviously. There are firearms that have pathetic sights. I think I've got a couple. I've had a couple at least that could benefit from a scope or something. If you've got a really terrible rear sight that I can't get focused on, I think I've about fixed all of those. The AK sight, the Arsenal, which I happen to have right here, by the way. I forgot. I brought it out. Yeah. I was thinking I might shoot this thing today. I don't know. I miss shooting it. I haven't shot it for a while. But I have the Krebs peep sight on the back of that thing, and I just love that. But now the stock AK sights or SKS sights, either one, they're hard for me to spot. They really are. I would probably have some kind of little scope on if I had to rely on those. If I was going to battle, I'd rather have a red dot or something on those. But the peep sight serves the same purpose for me. Ghost ring, peep sight does fine. But anyway, just want to ease anybody's mind if they suspect I'm having trouble seeing the iron sights now. As far as I know, that's not happening. Just happen to be kind of messing around with something different here. Even though I'm old school and, I may be set in my ways to some extent, I'm not totally against trying something new every now and then. Obviously, I never would have gotten into Glocks, polymer pistols in the 80s. if I was too old school and too set in my ways. A lot of people have not accepted polymer pistols even today, right? But I'm still mostly defensively minded when it comes to handguns, and I have always just been very impressed with a firearm that is simple and works, that will do what it needs to do with minimal additions, minimal modifications, I guess you could say. Now, no major problems with that. I don't sit around and badmouth people that stick all sorts of stuff on their guns and change out everything from guide rods to sights and everything else from their Glocks. That's fine. Helps keep the industries going, shooting industry going strong. There's lots of aftermarket companies out there. Need your business, right? But I don't know. I just like, if the thing works, I don't fix it. I just always enjoyed something that's simple that works. It's just the way I am. I guess I'll let you go here in a little bit. Been yakking at you a while. Hope you're having some luck finding ammo, at least what you need. Need, quote unquote. Sooner or later, maybe things will get better. I look for it to get a little better by summer. Might be a little optimistic. I hope it is. We have some ammo, but we're trying to be a little bit careful with it and not just burn through it, because I want to have some for, well, just whatever. If we get some cool 9mm, I want to have enough to shoot several magazines. A lot of videos don't require a great deal of shooting. It just depends on what we're doing, of course. And we have so many so many firearms and different things that we have a need to do and to bring out, and lots of stuff I love to shoot, as you know that, whether it's my Colt single actions or double action revolvers or lever guns and muzzle loaders and everything else. We need to be going back through and doing everything. But I still like to have some 40 and 9 and 45 handy, because that's kind of the staple, right? There's always another 9 or a 40 caliber firearm that we want to shoot or show, and so hopefully it'll get a little bit better for those calibers as we move on through the spring and into the summer. Tell you, it's a crazy time. It really is. When you get right down to it, of course, as long as you've got some good carry ammo, you guys are, you're well, I shouldn't say you're better off than we are. As long as you got some good carry ammo and you can take a few shots now and then, you can get by maybe. As far as what we're doing with the video project, we can't operate without ammo. So, very well. So, we really need ammo to do what we're doing. I'm not worried about my own defensive posture. I have some carry ammo, enough to keep my firearms in good, ready condition and all that sort of thing. We're only concerned about having ammo to do the videos we want to do. And like I say, we have a fair amount of ammo. It's just that there's certain calibers here and there where we've got maybe some gaps that definitely could use some filling. But we'll get through, and all of us will get through together. And I do look forward to get better as we move into the summer. Hopefully, a lot of people who've been stocking up are getting stocked up. And I know the problem is we have so many people who've just bought firearms for the first time. This crazy political climate, it's just driven everybody to the gun shops. It's gotten everybody with new guns, It's a good thing. How can you hate that? More shooters, the better. More gun owners, the better. It's definitely, though, put a strain on the ammo supplies. So, but we'll get through it, and maybe we'll all be shooting airsoft for about 6 months, you think? No, I don't think it'll get that bad. Not that there's anything wrong with airsoft, not to pick on you guys that like the airsoft. I don't know if I ever told you all this, but I had a fellow out one time, speaking of airsoft, who was actually a student of mine, and his dad brought him out and let him shoot. Now, I do very little of that. I used to do more of it, but I just essentially don't do it anymore. But his dad and the boy came out, and he had really shot almost nothing but airsoft. But he had the AR-15, I think a Beretta 92 look-alike, in the airsoft. He had all those firearms, and he is very interested in shooting. I mean, he just loved shooting, and I mean, he's like a Hickok45 in the making, man. I mean, he was eaten up with shooting and could operate those guns and everything. Well, anyway, he shot a real AR and then a real pistol or two, and I was impressed. I don't know if anybody else has had this experience, but the training he had gotten on those airsoft guns really transferred. I mean, I don't know if he was an exception or what. It was just so much dry firing or whatever it was, but he was very competent with a handgun and an AR, and he had virtually no experience other than the airsoft. Now, the one advantage he had was a deep and abiding love of shooting. So, I mean, he's very, very enthusiastic about shooting. He wasn't just some random kid that had played with some airsoft guns, but the transfer was pretty amazing to me in skills. Now, I don't know if anybody else has had that experience or personally, or if you've seen anyone else like that, but that was pretty interesting to me. And I don't have much experience at all with airsoft. I've seen them, but I just we've got one around here, a Glock 19 that John bought. Man, I don't know. We've had this thing, I don't know, 10, 15 years. Been around here. It's got probably an early generation one. He picked up at a gun show or somewhere a long time ago. But, so I don't know that much about the airsoft, to tell you the truth. But, anyway, thought I'd throw that out there while I was rambling. So, you all have a good week, and hope you find some ammo. Hope you get a chance to shoot. If not, at least an opportunity to fondle your favorite firearms, right? And as always, we appreciate y'all being out there. We would not be here without you. The channel obviously would be nothing without all the support that we get from you all, the viewership, and then also the assistance in managing the videos, answering questions, helping to answer questions, helping to vote down trolls and all that sort of thing. There's always going to be troublemakers, people upset because they got blocked for being obnoxious. That will never go away. And after all, we're on the internet. We're anybody with a computer connection, regardless of their personality, they can post, no matter where they're coming from. Whether they hate guns, or they're jealous of me, or they're jealous of you, or they just like to cause trouble. They're there along with the rest of us, aren't they? Fortunately, in much smaller numbers, though. We have them outnumbered. Most people are pretty sensible people. So, when you get right down to it, think about all the young people that are online and watching our videos. You'd almost expect 3 out of 5 comments to be totally brainless stuff. Not because they're young people, but just because it's a free-for-all out there, and anybody's got a computer connection. But, by and large, people are pretty sensible. They get a little carried away at times. And then when they get really obnoxious, they get blocked. But, then they've got to create other usernames, and I know it's so inconvenient for them. But anyway, appreciate you all being there, and please continue to help monitor things for me and keep it going. As you know, with all the videos, it's very, very difficult to get around everything. And still trying to answer most messages and do the best I can with that. It's a big task, but y'all take care. I'll hopefully get over my cold, and we'll get outside and maybe do some videos later this week. Y'all take care.
You've been listening to the Hickok45 Radio Show. See you on the range.